Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. Death is neither a good nor a bad thing. For that alone, which is something, can be a good or a bad thing. But that which is nothing and reduces all things to nothing does not hand us over to either fortune. Because good and bad require some material to work upon. Fortune cannot take a hold of that which nature has let go. Nor can a man be unhappy if he is nothing. I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. Very well. What further concern have I? For my part has been fulfilled. The business belongs to someone else. That is the helmsman. But more than that, the ship goes down. What then have I to do? What I can. That is the only thing I do. I drown without fear, neither shrieking nor crying out against God, but recognizing that what is born must also perish. Death is not an evil. What is it then? The one law mankind has that is free of all discrimination. Is any man afraid of change? What can take place without change? What then is more pleasing or more suitable to the universal nature? And can you take a hot bath unless the wood for the fire undergoes a change? And can you be nourished unless the food undergoes a change? And can anything else that is useful be accomplished without change? Do you not see then that for yourself also to change is just the same and equally necessary for the universal nature? It is not death that a man should fear, but rather he should fear never beginning to live. What is death? A scary mask. Take it off. See, it doesn't bite. Eventually, body and soul will have to separate, just as they existed separately before we were born. So why be upset if it happens now? If it isn't now, it's later. Stop whatever you're doing for a moment and ask yourself, am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore? What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about the things. For example, death is nothing dreadful, or else it would have appeared dreadful to Socrates. But instead, the judgment about death, that it is dreadful, that is what is dreadful. So, when we are thwarted or upset or distressed, let us never blame someone else, but rather ourselves. That is, our own judgments. An uneducated person accuses others when he is doing badly. A partly educated person accuses himself. An educated person accuses neither someone else nor himself. No evil is honorable, but death is honorable. Therefore, death is not evil. Remember also that each man lives only the present moment. The rest of the time is either spent and gone, or is quite unknown. It is a very little time which each man lives, and in a small corner of the earth. And the longest surviving fame is but short, and this conveyed through a succession of poor mortals, each presently a dying, men who neither knew themselves nor the persons long since dead. When the longest and shortest lived of us dies, their loss is precisely equal. For the sole thing of which any of us can be deprived is the present. Since this is all we own, and nobody can lose what is not theirs. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. Accept death in a cheerful spirit, as nothing but the dissolution of the elements from which each living thing is composed. If it doesn't hurt the individual elements to change continually into one another, why are people afraid of all them changing and separating? It's a natural thing, and nothing natural is evil. About death, whether it is a dispersion or a resolution into atoms or annihilation, it is either extinction or change. You can discard most of the junk that clutters your mind. Things that exist only there, and you will immediately make vast space for yourself by grasping the whole universe in your thought. By contemplating the eternity of time, and by reflecting on the speed with which things change, each part of everything, the brief gap from birth to death, the infinite time before, and the equally infinite time that follows. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood and birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together, like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are unnatural. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Be the chief, but never the Lord. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Great acts are made up of small deeds. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did it ourselves." Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Treat those who are good with goodness, and also treat those who are not good with goodness. Thus, goodness is attained. Be honest to those who are honest, and also honest to those who are not honest. Thus, honesty is attained. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. Health is the great possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. The power of intuitive understanding will protect you from harm until the end of your days. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. He who knows does not speak. He who speaks does not know. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. An ant on the move does more than a dozing ox. The wicked leader is he who the people despise. The good leader is he who the people revere. The great leader is he who the people say, "We did it ourselves." To lead people, walk behind them. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Man's enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. When virtue is lost, benevolence appears. When benevolence is lost, right conduct appears. When right conduct is lost, expedience appears. Expediency is the mere shadow of right and truth. It is the beginning of disorder. If you would take, you must first give. This is the beginning of intelligence. Truthful words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not truthful. Good words are not persuasive. Persuasive words are not good. Silence is a source of great strength. At the center of your being, you have the answer. You know who you are, and you know what you want. The wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for his own. Respond intelligently, even to unintelligent treatment. One cannot reflect in streaming water. Only those who know internal peace can give it to others. He who does not trust enough will not be trusted. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you are not afraid of dying, there is nothing you cannot achieve. Life, if well lived, is long enough. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Love, in its essence, is spiritual fire. Enjoy present pleasures in such a way as not to injure future ones. Man is affected not by events, but by the view he takes of them. How does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them? Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Time heals what reason cannot. Let us say what we feel and feel what we say. Let speech harmonize with life. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. The life we receive is not short, but we make it so. Remember that pain has this most excellent quality. If prolonged, it cannot be severe. And if severe, it cannot be prolonged. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. While we wait for life, life passes. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. Every night before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, What weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. To wish to progress is the largest part of progress. Besides, he who is feared fears also. No one has been able to arouse terror and live in peace of mind. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Things that were hard to bear are sweet to remember. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. So you must match time's swiftness with your speed in using it. And you must drink quickly as though from a rapid stream that will not always flow. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. The good things of prosperity are to be wished, but the good things that belong to adversity are to be admired. Every guilty person is his own hangman. All cruelty springs from weakness. Once again, prosperous and successful crime goes by the name of virtue. Good men obey the bad. Might is right and fear oppresses law. A good judge condemns wrongful acts, but does not hate them. I am not born for one corner. The whole world is my native land. Everywhere is nowhere. When a person spends all his time in foreign travel, he ends by having many acquaintances, but no friends. Regard a friend as loyal, and you will make him loyal. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. It is another's fault if he be ungrateful, but it is mine if I do not give. To find one thankful man, I will oblige a great many that are not so. Friendship is always helpful, but love sometimes even does harm. A person's fears are lighter when the danger is at hand. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. Worse than war is the very fear of war. Remember, however, before all else, to strip things of all that disturbs and confuses, and to see what each is at the bottom. You will then comprehend that they contain nothing fearful except the actual fear. Religion is regarded by the common people as true, by the wise as false, and by rulers as useful. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. Hang on to your youthful enthusiasms. You'll be able to use them better when you're older. There is nothing more despicable than an old man who has no other proof than his age to offer of his having lived long in the world. Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings. He who is brave is free. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. No man was ever wise by chance. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by you, take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply. Though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. Nothing deters a good man from doing what is honorable. We must go for walks out of doors so that the mind can be strengthened and invigorated by a clear sky and plenty of fresh air. At times, it will acquire fresh energy from a journey by carriage and a change of scene, or from socializing and drinking freely. Occasionally, we should even come to the point of intoxication, sinking into a drink but not being totally flooded by it, for it does wash away cares and stirs the mind to its depths, and heals sorrow just as it heals certain diseases. Death is the wish of some, the relief of many, and the end of all. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. To be always fortunate and to pass through life with a soul that has never known sorrow is to be ignorant of one half of nature. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the the future. We are mad, not only individually, but nationally. We check manslaughter and isolated murders. But what of war and the much vaunted crime of slaughtering whole peoples? Everyone prefers belief to the exercise of judgment. The sun also shines on the wicked. The part of life we really live is small. For all the rest of existence is not life, but merely time. Drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness. What really ruins our character is the fact that none of us looks back over his life. Fidelity purchased with money, money can destroy. Men do not care how nobly they live, but only for how long. Although it is within the reach of every man to live nobly, but within no man's power to live long. Leisure without books is death, and burial of a man alive. The abundance of books is distraction. Courage leads to heaven. Fear leads to death. Economy is too late when you are at the bottom of your purse. The final hour when we cease to exist does not itself bring death. It merely of itself completes the death process. We reach death at that moment, but we have been a long time on the way. For greed, all nature is too little. He that does good to another does good also to himself. The difficulty comes from our lack of confidence. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. There are more things to alarm us than to harm us, and we suffer more often in apprehension then reality. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. It is difficult to bring people to goodness with lessons, but it is easy to do so by example. Often, a very old man has no other proof of his long life than his age. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. It does not matter how many books you have, but how good are the books which you have. Light griefs are loquacious, but the great are dumb. If we could be satisfied with anything, we should have been satisfied long ago. Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power. For many men, the acquisition of wealth does not end their troubles. It only changes them. There is no enjoying the possession of anything valuable unless one has someone to share it with. Expecting is the greatest impediment to living. In anticipation of tomorrow, it loses today. You ask, what is the proper limit to a person's wealth? First, having what is essential. And second, having what is enough. No man can be sane who searches for what will injure him in place of what is best. Everybody agrees that no one pursuit can be successfully followed by a man who is preoccupied with many things. Since the mind, when distracted, takes in nothing very deeply, but rejects everything that is, as it were, crammed into it. There is nothing the busy man is less busied with than living. There is nothing that is harder to learn. No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. We cease to be so angry once we cease to be so hopeful. If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. It's not because things are difficult that we dare not venture. It's because we dare not venture that they are difficult. A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. It takes the whole of life to learn how to live. And what will perhaps make you wonder more? It takes the whole of life to learn how to die. The less we deserve good fortune, the more we hope for it. To expect punishment is to suffer it, and to earn it is to expect it. I shall never be ashamed of citing a bad author if the line is good. To err is human, but to persist in the mistake is diabolical. A punishment to some a gift, and to many a favor. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. The day which we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity. There is no person so severely punished as those who subject themselves to the whip of their own remorse. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. Nothing is burdensome if taken lightly, and nothing need arouse one's irritation so long as one doesn't make it bigger than it is by getting irritated. It is not that we have so little time, but that we lose so much. We are not given a short life, but we make it short. And we are not ill supplied, but wasteful of it. Flow with whatever may happen, and let your mind be free. Stay centered by accepting whatever you are doing. This is the ultimate. A path is made by walking on it. Rewards and punishment is the lowest form of education. The wise man knows that it is better to sit on the banks of a remote mountain stream than to be emperor of the whole world. Happiness is the absence of the striving for happiness. Forget the years. Forget distinctions. Leap into the boundless and make it your home. To a mind that is still, the entire universe surrenders. To be truly ignorant, be content with your own knowledge. The sound of water says what I think. If you have insight, you use your inner eye, your inner ear, to pierce to the heart of things and have no need of intellectual knowledge. We are born from a quiet sleep, and we die to a calm awakening. When the heart is right, for and against are forgotten. Great wisdom is generous. Petty wisdom is contentious. And how do I know that the hate of death is not like a man who has lost his home when young and does not know where his home is to return to? Where is that man who has forgotten words, that I may have a word with him? When affirmation and negation came into being, Tao faded. After Tao faded, then came one-sided attachments. Men honor what lies within the sphere of their knowledge, but do not realize how dependent they are on what lies beyond it. Cherish that which is in you and shut out that which is without, for much knowledge is a curse. Only he who has no use for the empire is fit to be entrusted with it. Where can I find a man who has forgotten words? He is the one I would like to talk to. Cease striving, then there will be transformation. The petty thief is imprisoned, but the big thief becomes a feudal lord. The one-legged creature is envious of the millipede. The millipede is envious of the snake. The snake is envious of the wind. The wind is envious of the eye. The eye is envious of the heart. To forget the whole world is easy. To make the whole world forget you is hard. You can't discuss the ocean with a whale frog. He's limited by the space he lives in. You can't discuss ice with a summer insect. He's bound to a single season. The man who has forgotten self may be said to have entered heaven. The perfect man uses his mind like a mirror, going after nothing, welcoming nothing, responding but not storing. It can be passed on, but not received. It can be obtained, but not seen. He who has mastered the true nature of life does not labor over what life cannot do. He who has mastered the true nature of fate does not labor over what knowledge cannot change. The little child learns to speak, though it has no learned teachers, because it lives with those who know how to speak. Your life has a limit, but knowledge has none. If you use what is limited to pursue what has no limit, you will be in danger. The sage is still not because he takes stillness to be good and therefore is still. The 10,000 things are insufficient to distract his mind. That is the reason he is still. A good completion takes a long time. A bad completion cannot be changed later. All men know the use of the useful, but nobody knows the use of the useless. Not to understand is profound. To understand is shallow. Not to understand is to be on the inside. To understand is to be on the outside. Flow with whatever may happen. Let your mind be free. Stay centered. By accepting whatever you're doing, this is the ultimate. Let your mind wander in simplicity. Blend your spirit with the vastness. Follow along with things the way they are, and make no room for personal views. Then the world will be governed. Words have value. What is of value in words is meaning. Meaning has something it is pursuing. But the thing that it is pursuing cannot be put into words and handed down. The spirit tower has its guardian. But unless it understands who its guardian is, it cannot be guarded. Things joined by profit, when pressed by misfortune and danger, will cast each other aside. Don't go in and hide. Don't come out and shine. Stand stock still in the middle. But a gentleman may embrace a doctrine without necessarily wearing the garb that goes with it. And he may wear the garb without necessarily comprehending the doctrine. To use a horse to show that a horse is not a horse is not as good as using a non-horse to show that a horse is not a horse. We can't expect a blind man to appreciate beautiful patterns or a deaf man to listen to bells and drums. And blindness and deafness are not confined to the body alone. the understanding has them too. If you were to hide the world in the world so that nothing could get away, this would be the final reality of the constancy of things. Do not use life to give life to death. Do not use death to bring death to life. Moreover, I have heard that those who are fond of praising men to their faces are also fond of damning them behind their backs. People who excuse their faults and claim they didn't deserve to be punished, there are lots of them. But those who don't excuse their faults and admit that they didn't deserve to be spared, they are few. When a man does not dwell in self, then things will of themselves reveal their forms to him. His movement is like that of water, his stillness like that of a mirror, his responses like those of an echo. In the midst of the darkness, he alone sees the dawn. In the midst of the soundless, he alone hears harmony. When a hideous man becomes a father and a son is born to him in the middle of the night, he trembles and lights a lamp and runs to look in anguish on that child's face to see who he resembles. Eyes that are blind have no way to tell the loveliness of faces and features. Eyes with no pupils have no way to tell the beauty of colored and embroidered silks. When men do not forget what can be forgotten, but forget what cannot be forgotten, that may be called true forgetting. Don't you know about the prying mantis that waved its arms angrily in front of an approaching carriage? Unaware that they were incapable of stopping it, such was the high opinion it had of its talents. Men all pay homage to what understanding understands. But no one understands enough to rely upon what understanding does not understand, and thereby come to understand. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Have this thought ever present with thee. When thou losest any outward thing, what thou gainest in its stead, and if this be the more precious, say not, I have suffered loss. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power or our will. The anger of an ape, the threat of a flattered, these deserve equal regard. When you want to hear a philosopher, do not say, "You say nothing to me." Only show yourself worthy or fit to hear, and then you will see how you will move the speaker. Friend, bethink you first what it is that you would do, and then what your own nature is able to bear. He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations, no matter what is going on around you. To you, all you have seems small. To me, all I have seems great. Your desire is insatiable. Mine is satisfied. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. In every affair, consider what precedes and what follows, and then undertake it. If you seek truth, you will not seek to gain a victory by every possible means. And when you have found truth, you need not fear being defeated. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. True instruction is this: to learn to wish that each thing should come to pass as it does. Be free from grief, not through insensibility like the irrational animals, nor through want of thought like the foolish, but like a man of virtue, by having reason as the consolation of grief. Decide to be extraordinary, and do what you need to do. Now. I laugh at those who think they can damage me. They do not know who I am. They do not know what I think. They cannot even touch the things which are really mine and with which I live. Suffering arises from trying to control what is uncontrollable, or from neglecting what is within our power. However he may treat me, I must deal rightly by him. This is what lies with me, what none can hinder. No matter what happens, it is within my power to turn it to my advantage. Nothing is in reality either pleasant or unpleasant by nature, but all things become so through habit. The appearance of things to the mind is the standard of every action to man. To accuse others for one's own misfortune is a sign of want of education. To accuse oneself shows that one's education has begun. To accuse neither oneself nor others shows that one's education is complete. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Give me, by all means, the shorter and nobler life, instead of one that is longer but of less account. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Take care not to hurt the ruling faculty of your mind. If you were to guard against this in every action, you should enter upon those actions more safely. Nature hath given men one tongue, but 2 ears, that we may hear from others twice as much as we speak. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. Everything has two handles, the one by which it may be carried, the other by which it cannot. A city is not adorned by external things, but by the virtue of those who dwell in it. If you ever happen to turn your attention to externals for the pleasure of anyone, be assured that you have ruined your scheme of life. He who exercises wisdom exercises the knowledge which is about God. The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. If you are in pain, you will find fortitude. If you hear unpleasant language, you will find patience. Disease is an impediment to the body, but not to the will, unless the will itself chooses. Let whatever appears to be the best be to you an inviolable law. Those proficient praise no one, blame no one, and accuse no one. Events happen as they do. People behave as they are. Embrace what you actually get. Never call yourself a philosopher, nor talk a great deal among the unlearned about theorems, but act conformably to them. If you would be a reader, read. If a writer, write. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. When, therefore, anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. For states are well governed by the wisdom of men, but not by stone and wood. You are but an appearance, and not absolutely the thing you appear to be. Remember that you ought to behave in life as you would at a banquet. Other people's views and troubles can be contagious. Don't sabotage yourself by unwittingly adopting negative, unproductive attitudes through your associations with others. Some things are in our control, and others not. Fortify yourself with contentment, for this is an impregnable fortress. With every accident, ask yourself what abilities you have for making a proper use of it. Circumstances don't make the man. They only reveal him to himself. It is better to do wrong seldom and to own it and to act right for the most part than seldom to admit that you have done wrong and to do wrong often. Let no man think that he is loved by any who loveth none. Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern. And be clear that what belongs to others is their business and none of yours. You are a little soul carrying a corpse. Most of what passes for legitimate entertainment is inferior or foolish and only caters to or exploits people's weaknesses. Death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists in our notion of death, that it is terrible. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. No man is free who is not master of himself. What is the first business of one who practices philosophy. To get rid of self-conceit. For it is impossible for anyone to begin to learn that which he thinks he already knows. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Since it is reason which shapes and regulates all other things, it ought not itself to be left in disorder. We should not have either a blunt knife or a freedom of speech which is ill managed. Demand not that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well. You can be invincible if you enter into no contest in which it is not in your power to conquer. Reason is not measured by size or height, but by principle. Who are those people by whom you wish to be admired? Are they not these whom you are in the habit of saying that they are mad? What then? Do you wish to be admired by the mad? But if you chance to be placed in some superior station, will you presently set yourself up for a tyrant? No thing great is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. The origin of sorrow is this: to wish for something that does not come to pass. In a word, neither death, nor exile, nor pain, nor anything of this kind is the real cause of our doing or not doing any action, but our inward opinions and principles. If it is good to use attention tomorrow, how much better is it to do so today? Every art and every faculty contemplates certain things as its principal objects. It is unlikely that the good of a snail should reside in its shell. So is it likely that the good of a man should? Any one thing in the creation is sufficient to demonstrate a providence to an humble and grateful mind. Man, what are you talking about? Me in chains? You may fetter my leg, but my will, not even Zeus himself can overpower. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire. In theory, there is nothing to hinder our following what we are taught. But in life, there are many things to draw us aside. The poor body must be separated from the spirit either now or later, as it was separated from it before. It is difficulties that show what men are. The philosopher's school, ye men, is a surgery. You ought not to go out of it with pleasure, but with pain, for you are not in sound health when you enter. Practice yourself, for heaven's sake, in little things, and thence proceed to greater. And be silent for the most part, or else make only the most necessary remarks, and express these in few words. It is my business to manage carefully and dexterously whatever happens. God save me from fools with a little philosophy. No one is more difficult to reach. To be getting an education means this: to be learning what is your own and what is not your own. Freedom and slavery. The one is the name of virtue, and the other of vice, and both are acts of the will. No man is able to make progress when he is wavering between opposite things. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. You are not alone. Nay, God is within, and your genius is within. To the rational being, only the irrational is unendurable, but the rational is endurable. Is freedom anything else than the power of living as we choose? For on these matters we should not trust the multitude who say that none ought to be educated but the free, but rather to philosophers who say that the educated are free. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. First, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourselves. A ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. It's time to stop being vague. If you wish to be an extraordinary person, if you wish to be wise, then you should explicitly identify the kind of person you aspire to become. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person. Books are the training weights of the mind. They are very helpful, but it would be a bad mistake to suppose that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents. There are some things which men confess with ease, and others with difficulty. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Although we can't control which roles are assigned to us, it must be our business to act our given role as best we possibly can and to refrain from complaining about it. Wherever you find yourself and in whatever circumstances, give an impeccable performance. Of pleasures, those which occur most rarely give the most delight. Caretake this moment. Immerse yourself in its particulars. Respond to this person, this challenge, this deed. Quit evasions. Stop giving yourself needless trouble. It is time to really live, to fully inhabit the situation you happen to be in now. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted, to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation, which is why it is essential that we not respond impulsively to impressions. Take a moment before reacting, and you will find it easier to maintain control. Now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? Your nobler self cannot wait any longer. Put your principles into practice now. Stop the excuses and the procrastination. This is your life. You aren't a child anymore. The sooner you set yourself to your spiritual program, the happier you will be. The longer you wait, the more you'll be vulnerable to mediocrity and feel filled with shame and regret. Because you know you are capable of better. From this instant on, vow to stop disappointing yourself. Separate yourself from the mob. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now.